Hey everybody, I'm Chef K Ford with Manna Made Simple and I'm back, okay? It's been a moment. I haven't made videos. I hadn't had time to make videos. Why? Because I was doing life, living life, okay? But I gotta tell you, I am so happy to be back here making these videos, and I got a new mission, you all, okay? You see in the title where it says Cooking Schools Back to the Basics. Well, what does that mean? Well, when you see a cooking school, you think of, okay, learning how to cook. Well, yeah, we're going to be learning how to cook. And true enough, we're going back to the basics too. Okay? So I'm on a new mission and I'm grateful. I'm not here just to be, an ordinary chef that's just cooking recipes to show you all how to make your food look good and taste good. Now, although that is very important, the mission of this cooking school is basically, if I had to sum it up, is to teach people how to cook right. Now, there is a lot of great cooks out there, and I ain't trying to take nothing away from nobody. In the first segment of this video, I want to talk about 3 reasons why it's important to cook properly or the right way. The first reason is health reasons, okay? Do you know that it is very vital to our bodies and how we cook foods for our family, friends, or business? For example, did you know that you could overcook? Let's just talk about our vegetables. You could overcook vegetables. So what happens? You lose the nutritional value of vegetables when you overcook them. When the body don't get the nutrients that it needs, then it's a deficiency, and that could lead to disease. It's also important on the methods that we use in cooking. There's frying, there's baking, there's grilling, there's boiling, there's broiling, there's steaming, there's roasting. There's all type of methods that are used when cooking. But you got to know which one is the right one to cook. For beans, for grains, for vegetables. Oh, did I tell you this is like a plant-based channel also? So we're going to mostly talk about things like that. The second reason what we need to talk about is when you're cooking properly, it helps prevent disease. It can help your mental attitude. And it also can prolong your life. That's how serious it is. When cooking, you have quality control. So you determine what's going in that pot, how it's going to be cooked, how long it's going to be cooked, what method it's going to be cooked. So it's all in your hands. That's how important this role is. And we are going to make our dishes simple. Now, where I come from, when we have a feast, we have a feast. But we got to learn how to make our tables, more simple, because not only is it good for our bodies and everything like that, but even the times that we spend in the kitchen working really, really hard, all that, we're going to simplify things. Let's just say that. So get ready. This is going to be a really, really exciting video. We have several sections of this video that we're going to talk about. One of the sections is going to be cookware. Do you know it really matters the type of pots and pans you cook your food in? You're going to be surprised. We'll talk about the kitchen appliances that are needed in a kitchen to make life much, much more easier for you. We'll also talk about measurements, your measuring cups, liquid, your volumes, your dry. We'll talk about the different blenders, food processors that's out there that you can use that will make life much, much, much easier for you. We'll get into the knife section, and we'll even demonstrate and do some cuts, different cuts, chops, dices, julienne. But basically, that's what this video is going to consist of, basic training. And I'm glad to share it with you. So come on along and let's do this. Now we're into section 2, and we're going to be talking about cookware. It is very important that you know which cookware to use and which ones are okay to use and which ones are the best ones to use. So the first one we're going to talk about is the stainless steel. Now the stainless steel is the best one. However, it's not very effective, when it comes to the heating, levels and everything. It depends on the gauge of them, okay? So if you got the 18 by 10, that's a pretty good gauge, all right? So one of the things I would just suggest is, to do your research and look at the reviews. So I do have some pots, as you all saw in the picture. I do have some of my pots that I use. So, this is a stainless steel pot. This is a stainless steel. All right. Yeah. Like I said, it depends on, the gauge of them. Okay. And it's all different sizes and everything. I have all kinds. I even have big, humongous quarts that I like to can in. And here's like a saucepan and all of the stainless steel. Now, you do have to put some sort of spray in there. Just a little, and also it won't stick. Your food won't stick in there. Okay. All right. So the next one is the waterless stainless steel. All right. And I have put a picture out there for you to see that. But that's really, really good. It is the very best. Okay. And stuff, because this one right here, all you need is a little water, a very small amount of water for your food. Another cookware is the non-stick. All right. So this is a non-stick right here. I love this pan because I love frying my little just eggs in there, and not really frying, but just a little bit of oil in it, or, just a little bit of fat and all. And these right here, they are aluminum. Okay. And then they can possibly give off toxic effects, okay, once you start scratching into the material, all right? So you got to be careful of your cookware. You got to be careful of your cookware. And if it gets old and where you done got a lot of marks in it and everything, you might want to just throw that out, okay? All right. Now, the porcelain. I mean, these are really beauties, okay? And they're really heavy. And a lot of times, they're good where you could cook stews and something you need them to cook for a long time in, but like a Dutch oven and everything. So this is like, made out of porcelain, and it's really, really good to have in your collection. With the porcelain, you got to be careful and everything because it can chip. Enamel, it kind of reminds you of the porcelain too, because you'll see that, they might have porcelain and enamel, but enamel, you got to be careful with that because that can easily crack or chip also. Another cookware that I love using, I really have a lot of glass cookware, I must admit. I just love, you could bake with it, and I love serving it up in there. And also, you got all kinds of shapes and sizes. The Pyrex dishes, this is like a loaf one. And I love cooking in the glass, okay? It's great for the oven, but you got to be aware because food do stick in it. So you got to make sure that, you have something in there where it doesn't stick like that. Some sort of you know, parchment, and it's another one too, like that. And the wax paper or something like that you could use. Here you see aluminum. Now, aluminum can be very toxic. Whenever I hear aluminum, you guys, I'm just really, really careful with it. And it depends on what I'm using it for, whether I'm boiling something but I'm not putting any food. I don't like cooking with aluminum. You got to be really careful, especially when it comes to acidic foods that could leach, that aluminum leaches out. And that could be very, very toxic, like I said. And the last one I'm just going to cover right now, it's plenty out there and all different kind of cookwares, but I wanted to just touch on the more used ones, okay? And one of my favorites, one of our grandmas, great grandmas, is the the cast iron. You could do a lot of things with this cast iron, okay? All right. A lot of times people love frying up in it, and I do too. Or I love making, I'm from the South down here, okay, in Georgia. So I love, we make cornbread, okay, in the cast iron, okay? And it's just perfect. Just don't want to do it any other way. All right. So anyway, there you have it. Our cookwares. And like I said, it's a lot of cookwares out there and all, but these are the main ones that we really use. Now, let's talk about the essentials of the kitchen. All right, one of the first things we're going to talk about is knives. Now, we do have a section for the knives, but I just wanted to include them in the essentials, okay? All right, so the next thing you want, and we'll talk a little bit more about the knives and even do some knife demonstrations so you could sharpen your knife skills, okay? All right, and so now it's always good to have cutting boards in your kitchen because you don't want to be cutting on your surfaces or anything like that. So it is recommended glass, and they usually say beware or be careful about ones that hold bacteria. Glass is suggested the best, but I'm gonna tell you all the truth, I can't stand that knife chopping on glass. So I do wooden and I do plastic, okay? And it's good to have a small one, or it's good to have a large one in your kitchen. You got to have a chopping board or two. So every kitchen has to have bowls, okay? You just have to have bowls and stuff like that because you're mixing, and it's good to have different sizes and all. When you have a little bit, and then you have a little bit more, and you got some big ones. They're really good, and you could find bowls. Some are everywhere. I have plastic ones, and I have the glass ones I love using. So make sure you have some bowls, all right? And then a sifter. This is a good old-fashioned sifter. You put your flour in, and to go ahead and get all the little kinks out of your flour. So it's good to have a sifter because a lot of your recipes, especially if you're baking, it's going to say sift the flour or sift this. And then this is just a non-stick baking pan. We use it as whether if we want to do some brownies in it, or you want to cook some cookies or bars in it, And then they have the long cookie sheets too and all, but I couldn't show you all that because mine has some age on it, okay? And another thing to have in your kitchen is the colander, all right? The colander, this is where you could put your vegetables in here and sit it on, it's another pan with some water in it, and cover the top, and you could steam your vegetables. Or if you want to, say if you're boiling macaroni and all, and you got to dump it out, just put it in the sink, pour the macaroni in the boiling water through here. The water comes through, and then you want to go ahead and shock your macaroni by putting cold water on it, okay? And then another essentials to have in the kitchen is your measuring cups, okay? You gotta have your measuring cups, all right? Some people cook strictly by recipe. It depends. When I'm baking, that's when I mostly make sure I measure things. I just can't assume and dump things in and all, but this is essential for a kitchen, okay? And all, so next, we also have metal cups too. The metal cups, they help a lot too. Okay, so get you a nice set. All right, along with measuring spoons. You need measuring spoons. Okay. All right, you got the quarter teaspoon here. The quarter, yeah, teaspoon here. A half a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, and then 1 tablespoon. All right, and it's good to have those here. All right, and this right here, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's this is where we squeeze our lemon and our limes in. You put the lemon in there and you squeeze it and it comes out. It is an old-fashioned one with the top on where you could, you know, twist it like that, but it's somewhere around. Okay, and then here we have a scoop. All right, and I love the scoops like when I'm cutting melon balls out, or say if I'm doing some fancy butters and everything, I can scoop them out and I'll have the round balls, or you're doing like a watermelon basket. You know, this scoop, it's nice to have it in the kitchen. All right, and that's not like a basic item. And along with, I have some things here like the wooden spoon. It's good to have that, especially when you're stirring in, you know, metal pots. I like the wooden spoon. There's so much you could do with the wooden spoon. So right here, we have the brush. And you could use it to brush butter or something, or sauce on something. And this is good to have in the kitchen. And one of my favorites is the whisk. The whisk is good for, you know, when you're stirring and when you're trying to aerate, you know, a dish. It's always good to have a whisk, more than one. This is a stainless steel one. I love using that, okay? And then we have the spatula, all right? The flip. Doing your pancakes or to turn something over, it's good to have a spatula, all right? Every kitchen should have a can opener, whether you have a manual one or whether you have electric one. And this right here, this is a potato peeler, or I don't want to just say potato, but it's a peeler. And you can peel vegetables with this. Oh, it makes life so much easier, all right? And what I'm getting ready to show you, you don't necessarily have to have in the kitchen, especially starting out with the basics, but it's something that's in the kitchen that's kind of helpful, okay? So let's talk more about measurements, okay? And I'm gonna put a chart up here for you guys also too, so you can have. But it's very, very important when it comes to your measurements in a recipe. I've heard a lot of people say, Chef K, oh, when it comes to baking, hey, my items don't turn out well at all. And you know what the difficulty is? It's because of measurements, okay? And so we're gonna real quick, we're gonna go over some of the measurements. I mentioned them a little earlier, but we're gonna talk more, okay? So like I said, cooking spoons. You have your quarter of a teaspoon. You have, an eighth of a teaspoon. Nope, let me make sure now. A quarter of a teaspoon. And then you have half a teaspoon. And then you have 1 teaspoon. And then you have 3 tablespoons. Okay, did you know that 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon? So you could save yourself some time and all. And also when it comes to the measuring cups, we have like a third of a cup. I'm missing the fourth of a cup, so please forgive me. A half of a cup and a whole cup. All right, so if a recipe says, hey, 2 1/2, what you're gonna do? You're gonna put 2 cups of this, and then here's your half, all right? Okay, and I know some say, oh, that's so elementary, but you'll be surprised, all right? And this is 1 cup, which is 8 ounces, okay? This right here is 2 cups, which is 16 ounces, all right? And right, 2 cups is 16 ounces. 16 ounces is 1 pint. 4 cups is 32 ounces, and that's 1 quart. When baking and using flour, it's good to use a scale, a kitchen scale, so you can get your accurate weight on your flour or any of your dry goods. So study the chart that I'm going to put on the video so you can get really good with your measurements. Essential kitchen appliances are blenders, food processors, a cake mixer, and it doesn't hurt to have a juicer. Now, let's talk about knife skills. Having real good knife skills in the kitchen can make your life so much easier and really kind of help your dishes to look really, really good also. Before getting into the knife skills, we're going to talk about the safety and how important it is to be with knives in the kitchen. Number one, you want to use the correct knife or the best knife for that task at hand. 2, you want to always cut away from yourself so you don't cut yourself. 3, and you want to make sure you are cutting on a cutting board. Excuse me, on a cutting board, okay? And make sure your cutting board is firm and it's not really shaky and where you could slip and move and, cut yourself. When carrying a knife in the kitchen, please always walk with the knife pointed down by yourself, okay? You don't want somebody comes around the corner and you got the knife holding it out to them, you could hurt someone. So be careful. Never ever try to catch a falling knife. Just move out of the way. And lastly, do not put a knife in a sink of water and leave and walk away. Somebody could come along and reach in that sink and get cut. So let's be wise using knives. Now we're going to talk about the different knives. And I just really have about 4 that I want to talk to you about today. One of the first is called the chef knife, okay? And this is a go-to knife, all right? This is my go-to knife. In the commercial arena, this is a real popular knife for chefs, but even when you're at home, you could use this for chopping, for dicing on vegetables, meats, fruits, your herbs, and also this is the chef knife. And I'll show you in a moment. Matter of fact, while I'm doing it now, let me show you the proper way to hold a chef knife when you're cutting. And when we get into the cuts, I'll do that. Let's just say that, okay? All right. The next one we're going to talk about is the bread knife. And the thing I want you to see about the bread knife is, see that edge? It's serrated, okay? And it makes it so easy to cut bread, okay? Whether if it's a soft crust or if it's just a hard, crusty bread loaf. But what you would do you would cut it like you're cutting a saw, okay? But that serrated edge will make the cut easier also, okay? And you can also use the serrated knife to cut large melons. Yeah, large melons. Next, we have the utility knife. Okay, the utility knife is smaller than the chef knife, and it's good for slicing and it's good for dicing also, whether it be meat or vegetables. Items that's small to mid-size, and also it could be good for peeling too. And then one that I really, really enjoy using is the paring knife. It's really, really sharp and it's a thin blade, and it's excellent when you're trying to peel and chop and slice and mince items, okay? So like I said, the blade is very thin and it's super sharp. So, but you just got to have one in your kitchen. It truly will make life much more simpler for you. This is the way you grip a knife. Now, this is just one of the ways, but you got to find the one that's comfortable to you. This is the one that I know. So, you see your 3 fingers that's holding the handle, and then your thumb and your index, this is what's on the blade, okay? So, you get to cut. You get to cut, all right? And also, this is one of the ways to hold the knife. You see how my fingers are set and the knife can't cut my fingers because I have them bent back? That is how you protect yourself, okay? That's how you protect. See, it's like a bear claw. And it's not going to be able to cut you, all right? And you just cut like that, cut like that. See how it's doing? And here you have a nice little dice, a medium dice, okay? We're going to do a slice here. All right. So you got your finger set in the bear claw. You're holding your knife right. You're gripping it right. And there you go. And there's our slice. All right. You can slice them thinner, as thin as you like. Keep your knife sharp. Coarse chop. Chiffonade. Julienne. There you have it. Thank you for joining us, and look forward to us bringing you more videos on how we could be better cooks, more knowledgeable cooks, more healthier cooks. Okay? All right. Take care. Bye now.